Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your patience. This is Kathy Santini with John F. Kennedy University, and I apologize for the delay in starting. We had a little bit of a technical issue with our computers today. But here with me today is Mindy Bergeron, who is our Director of Financial Aid and our resident expert, I think, not only for the university, but almost West Coast. So she'll give us the ins and outs of financial aid and help you get started. So what we're going to be talking about today are the types of financial aid, for those of you maybe not familiar with them, and then the steps to proceed to apply for financial aid in general and also specific to JFK University. So Mindy, so financial aid is kind of a widely used term, but what does it actually describe or refer to?
Well, any types of monies a student's going to get for going to school, including grants, which are free money, loans, which you have to repay, and scholarships that are free.
So the grants and loans, are those predominantly from government or organizations, or how do
The
those?
grants usually for our school, I'm talking maybe mostly undergrads. Undergrads at our school are eligible for the Pell Grant or the Cal Grant.
Okay.
And I'd say probably 60% of our undergraduate students are getting the free Pell Grant.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the graduate students, there aren't any grants that the graduate students are eligible for.
Okay. And then scholarships are generally by like a university like ourselves, or organizations provide scholarships as well, as that you apply for separately.
We have some links on our website to various scholarship search websites. And I just we always tell our students never to pay anybody for a scholarship.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people out there saying, oh, give me $100 and I'll help you get a scholarship. You can do this all on your own. You don't need someone helping you. They're just kind of probably taking your money.
So, but like you said, if you go to like the JFKU website under financial aid on the scholarships, there are links to various sites like FastWeb. I know
FastWeb.com is one.
Okay. So you already kind of like talked about it. For undergraduate students, there are the two types of grants, the federal grants and the state grants. The federal grants are Pell, and the state grants are the Cal grants. And what is there any difference really between the two?
Yes, the Cal grants, there's 3 Cal grants, Cal Grant A, Cal Grant B, and Cal Grant C. Cal Grant C are vocational college type scholarships, so our school doesn't participate in the Cal Grant C. Our students are eligible for the Cal Grant A and the Cal Grant B. The deadline, as you can see, was yesterday, March 2nd, and this is free money from the state of California, and that application process is only open from each year from January 1 to March 2nd. The Pell Grant is a year-round. It's from the federal government, and you can get up to $5,710 per year for getting the Pell Grant, and you can use the FAFSA.
For both?
For both. The free application for federal student aid, you use that to apply. You have to fill that out for any type of financial aid. Even if you're at a four-year college and they have their own endowments, they want to see a FAFSA.
Okay. So unfortunately, for the Cal grants, if someone didn't do their FAFSA prior to March 2nd,
they're done.
They're done. But they still have eligibility for the Pell Grant.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So, and then the loans. I know that there are different types of loans, and that's where people get kind of confused. The subsidized versus the unsubsidized loans. What's the difference between those?
Well, the subsidized are only for undergraduates.
Oh, okay.
A couple years ago, they took the eligibility of the subsidized loan away from the graduates. So the subsidized loans means you don't have to begin making payments until 6 months after you graduate, or if you would have to take a leave of school or just drop out of school, you have a 6-month grace period before the interest starts accruing.
Okay. And then, but with unsubsidized, the
interest begins accruing
right away.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, as it looks like on the screen, there are various limits depending on your level in school.
Yeah, it depends on, because we have it's undergrad. The undergrad financial aid, as maybe you're figuring out by now, has a lot more detail, a little trickier to understand. Depending on how many units you have coming to JFK, you're going to get a different level of eligibility for the subsidized loans. So the freshman, I think it's if you're transferring in 0 to 60 units, you get 3,500. Sophomore, there's another level. So it's the number of units. Most of our students are coming in at junior level, so they're going to get the 5,500 subsidized loan.
Okay. One thing, let me just point out, there is a chat feature that should be showing on your screen. So feel free to type in questions, and we'll either try and address them during the conversation here, or we'll email you or chat back with you. So feel free to ask questions as we go through that. There are also the PLUS loans that are available. And are those for undergraduates and graduates?
Yes, there's if you're a dependent student, which means we're going to have to involve your parents' income information, the parent can take out a PLUS loan. And this is, again, for undergraduates only. The Graduate PLUS loan is for graduate students.
Okay.
And it's money beyond the unsubsidized direct loans that a student can take. And the Graduate PLUS, both loans are credit-based, though the credit criteria is not as strict as if you're going to go for a home loan or a car loan.
Okay. So for a dependent, what is defined as a dependent student?
Anyone under the age of 24.
Okay. Okay.
We have to use the parental income. There are situations like if you have a child, if you're in a master's or PhD program, if you're married, you're considered independent.
Okay.
So there's certain criteria on the FAFSA that you have to meet in order. And I would say at JFK, most of our students are older. We probably only have maybe 3 or 4 dependent students a year who attend JFK. Most of them are married or over 24 or a veteran or something like that.
And when you say they're credit-based loans, so in addition to doing the FAFSA, is there like a credit application people have to complete?
Yeah, they go online to the Department of Education who manages all these loans.
Right.
There's a credit app, and they can find out immediately whether they're going to be eligible for the PLUS loans.
Okay, so it's really instantaneous?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's great. So going back a little bit backwards, for undergraduate students, you do have the subsidized and the unsubsidized loans. And so how is actually the amount determined? How, what's the financial aid calculator that goes on behind the scenes?
Yeah, for the FAFSA, the free application that everyone has to complete, there's a number off of it called an estimated family contribution, EFC. And then we take that number and plug it into a formula. The formula is going to include the cost of attendance, which is tuition, fees, standard room and board, transportation, books and supplies. So we're going to take that cost of education, subtract whatever EFC you have, and then that comes up with your need. So if you have a high EFC, you want a low EFC. So the lower the better as an undergrad. If you have like a 0 EFC, you're going to be a full Pell Grant eligible recipient.
Well, one of the questions I often get is with the EFC, let's say, well, particularly for dependent students, if they're still at that level, is their parents have a 401k or retirement.
Right.
Is that factored into the EFC?
The retirement in the 401k, no.
Okay.
But, well, some private colleges, they do want that information.
Okay.
But they'd have you fill out a supplemental application. But for JFK, no.
Okay. And it's not required on the FAFSA?
No.
Okay. Okay. And then there is on the screen, everyone sees there are limits or maximums for the loans that you can get, depending on whether you're an independent or a dependent student.
Yes, and one thing with JFK, most of our students, except for the law school, are on the quarter system. So we package students. We're considered a year-round school. We package students every 3 quarters.
Okay.
So the $4,500 as a sophomore it's going to cover 3 quarters. And once you finish the 3 quarters or 9 months mainly, then you're going to go into another loan awards year. So it's kind of a rolling $4,500 until you get to the next award year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so, but feel free to ask a question. Okay. So we've had a question about, do grad schools have anything to do with FAFSA? Yes. Yes. Everybody has to do a FAFSA.
Yes.
That's the one key.
One takeaway today.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone gets to do the FAFSA, and we'll get to that. We'll just quickly wrap up with the undergraduate. There are some maximum loan limits for loans. I guess one of the questions is, particularly for anybody coming into JFK, is how does pre-existing loan factor in?
It does factor into your aggregate loan limits. So for graduate students, you get up to $138,500. So if you're coming in with a lot of undergrad money, that's going to be subtracted from the $138,500.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Same with undergrads. Whatever you're coming in with, it's subtracted from the overall aggregate amount.
And it's just the amount still, the balance due. It's not like what the total amount, like if you actually have paid down your loan.
Right.
Okay.
That's good. That
okay.
helps you.
Yeah, that helps you. Okay. Good to know. Okay, now we'll get to graduate, which I know people are interested in. So the graduate loan, as Mindy said, the aggregate or maximum is $138,500.
Right.
And is the yearly maximum, hopefully this is still correct, $20,500.
Yeah. So again, that's every 3 quarters you can borrow up to $20,500.
Okay.
Now with the graduate students, that's probably not enough just to cover tuition. That's when you get into the graduate plus
loans.
Yeah, a lot of our students, especially in like the Masters of Counseling or this ID program or the law school for that matter, end up taking out the graduate plus loans.
Okay.
And our students are getting them. I mean, once in a while we see people who are not because of credit are not eligible for them, but even then you can get a co-signer.
Okay. Now, and I should have asked this before when we were talking about the grad plus loans, but the grad plus loans, we talked about the subsidized and the unsubsidized when the interest occurs. For grad plus loans, when does the interest start accruing for those?
Immediately.
So they're they're the unsubsidized loans.
Right.
Category.
Like more unsubsidized loans.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Except it's credit based.
Okay. Scholarships, they're at every grade level, national, local. As we talked about it before, you can research them online. And at the JFK website, there's a page with a variety of links to that. You can also go to your local library. And also, if you happen to work if you're a member of professional organizations, your employer, as well as JFK, does have scholarships. And what we didn't talk on here is also, tuition assistance is available. That's not scholarships so much from employers, that's a different.
It's tuition assistance.
Yeah.
So we do have quite a few students who have employers who pay for their tuition for each term, and maybe it's only like $2,000 a term. Maybe some of them pay all of it. So definitely check out your employer.
Right. So now let's just go quickly through the steps, and this is going to be whether you're undergrad or grad, and it applies, even though it talks about JFK University, it applies to most any institution. But obviously one of the things you want to do is you want to apply to the institution and then complete the FAFSA. JFK University has a supplemental application. You'll be admitted to the university, and then we process your financial aid request. So let's talk about the FAFSA, which we've referred to several times here. What is it? Where is it? And
you can find it on FAFSA, FAFSA.ed.gov.
Okay.
So FAFSA.ed.gov. And right now, if you're starting school here in spring, you would complete the 2014-15 FAFSA. But if you're starting school here at JFK in summer or fall, you're going to complete the 2015-16 FAFSA.
Okay.
Now the 2015-16 FAFSA is going to use your 2014 income information.
Okay.
The 14-15 FAFSA is going to use your 2013 income information. So this is the one time a year where it gets a little confusing.
Okay.
So if you're starting in spring, give us a call. We'll tell you what to do. If you're starting in summer beyond, 2014 to, I already messed that up, 2015, 2016 FAFSA application is what you want to complete. And when you go to their website, you'll see there's a difference. And then on our website, you want to complete the 2015-16 JFKU supplemental application. So those are the two forms you need to get financial aid started here at JFK.
Now, one of the things for the FAFSA is the tax information.
Yes.
And I understand now there's actually a link in
Yes.
the FAFSA.
Yes, that's true. They do get an IRS transcript linked into your FAFSA. So what we also say for 15-16 FAFSA is get your taxes done as soon as possible.
Okay.
And once they're done, then you can put in financial, if you complete the 2015-16 application now, you can use your estimated. I had to fill it out for my son. I went back to use my 2013 income information as an estimate, and then when I file my taxes in a couple of weeks, it'll tie into the FAFSA.
So it will automatically do that? You don't have to go back into
We have to go back into the FAFSA and ask for, ask for it. Good question.
Okay. So again, the thing is, if you haven't already done your return, you can go online, still start your FAFSA process. Use your previous year's tax return as an estimate, and then when you do your return, go back in and simply update it. So again, as Mindy mentioned, go to www.fafsa.ed.gov. Obviously, this type of year is kind of tricky, so make sure you check the correct year. If you're still looking to go to start school between now and July or end of June, you're going to do the 2014-15. If you're looking to start school after July of next year, it's 2015-2016. And then if you're looking to come to JFK or any university, I think you can list multiple schools.
Oh yeah.
So, list the schools that you want. And for JFK University, our school code is 004484. Now, if somebody's already done their FAFSA and they're thinking about coming to JFK, can they go back in and add JFK?
Yes.
Okay. And they'll want to do that as soon as you can once you've made that decision. Actually, I kind of clicked myself too fast. So what happens actually when they've submitted the FAFSA is one of the questions I often get. I do the form, so what happens? Do they need to call you to make sure the financial aid office get the information?
They can call us within probably 3 to 5 days, and they can call and we can tell them that, whether it's come in or not.
Okay.
And if it hasn't come in for a couple of weeks, there might be a problem. So check in with us maybe 4 or 5 days after you've completed the FAFSA, and maybe if it still isn't in, call us a couple days after that, because we try to pull them down every day.
So the schools that you list automatically should get a report unless there's a problem.
Yes.
Now, do you also is a SAR, a student report?
The student aid report is what the student used to get when it was all a paper process.
Oh, okay.
So right now, a lot of it's electronic.
Okay.
So they'll get something in their email.
Okay, that just confirms what they did?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, like I said, as Mindy's mentioned too, there's a JFK University supplemental application. And what is the purpose of that application?
Well, it's asking questions that the FAFSA doesn't ask, and we want to know how many units what program you're planning to be in at JFK, how many units you're going to take each quarter. We list your household. You list your household size and the name of the people in your household and whether they're going to college and not. So it's just a 2-page back and front form, just asking some additional information that we use to help you package you.
Okay. We do have a question about the loans. And actually, maybe we can talk about just in general for financial aid, because I know it does come up. Are non-U.S. citizens eligible for financial aid?
If you're a permanent non-resident, you're eligible for financial aid. If you're in the U.S. on a visa or a student visa, or for any other temporary purpose, you're not eligible for any of the financial aid. As far as the loans, if you're a non-resident or ineligible for the loans, you can get if you have a U.S. co-signer, you can possibly get some loans. And there are also private loans. I mean, it's harder. We don't see a lot of foreign students getting much financial aid.
Okay.
But they can also talk to our Susan
Sermino, the international advisor.
International student advisor here at JFK, and she's been here quite a while and is familiar with all the different countries and what eligibility for financial aid, if any, they have.
Okay. And
Canada, we have a lot of students coming from Canada who get loans from Canada.
I was going to say, I think Canada has
the different provinces
have different programs.
Yeah.
Because we get verifications required for those sometimes. We also have are there graduate school scholarships or financial aid application options?
Not really. Everything we're talking about today is for a graduate student as well. They need to complete the FAFSA. They need to complete the JFK supplemental. And they can look for scholarships on the websites we've suggested. Their chance of getting an outside scholarship is the same as an undergraduate trying to get an outside scholarship. Mm-hmm. Now, JFK, the last year we've given quite a few JFKU scholarships, so I highly suggest that everyone go online and fill out one of our applications and submit it to us.
So, like, I know we generally do most of the scholarships for fall and spring. Those are the bigger intakes. So if they're looking for spring, the sooner they can get it in, the better.
Yeah.
And then for fall, the application, the priority application deadline in general is August 1st, save for some special programs. But when would you recommend people get their financial aid, any scholarship applications, and then stuff?
Probably by September 1.
Okay.
Would be good.
Okay.
But the month of September is when we're heavily reading and awarding the various JFK scholarships.
Okay.
And there's still a little bit of money left over for spring if you want to start in spring.
Right. So then once they've been admitted, that's when really so they made the award. Then what happens?
Well, we're going to send you, the student, a financial aid award letter,
mm-hmm.
and on it, it's going to state what you're eligible for.
Okay.
Whether it's loans or scholarships or grants, and you would accept on this loan, the award letter. You would accept whatever financial aid you want.
Okay.
And then return it to us. If you're doing student loans, once you send us that award letter, then
mm-hmm.
you say you're accepting student loans, there's additional paperwork that you need to complete, or it's online nowadays. You need to complete a master promissory note and an entrance interview. But we guide you through all that. We give you plenty of paper and guidance with instructions telling you what you need to do.
So the award letter, will it be like, it'll tell you, let's say, for a grad student, because I think that's what a lot of people are interested in, is which kind of loans you're receiving
and your eligibility.
And then if there are any scholarships you're receiving as well from JFK, would that all be in one letter?
That would be all. Yeah, sometimes the scholarship, JFKU scholarships, are going to come in a separate award letter.
Okay.
Not necessarily with the first one.
Okay.
But for like a graduate student, for the unsubsidized loan, which you're going to be eligible for, you're going to get about $6,800 per quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So we also would put down the Grad Plus eligibility, and that loan, there's really no cap on what you can borrow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is a cap, but it changes. It's different for everyone.
Okay.
So, but the unsub, you pretty much. And the only reason you wouldn't get any of these loans is if you defaulted on previous student loans. So, but there's ways of working with that situation. So you could contact the financial aid office here, and we can help you or talk to you about how you can resolve default to student loans so you can get future loans.
Okay.
At JFK.
Okay. And then, like you mentioned before, the award year is defined as either 3 quarters, 4 terms for our special cohorts, or 2 semesters. But you also have to actually enroll for a minimum number of units.
Yes, and this is something the students always come in and, you never told me this. You have to be at least half time to get almost all of the financial aid. For undergraduates, it's 6 units. Graduate, it's 4.5 units, and for law students, it's 3 units per their semester.
Okay.
So this is one little part of the screen that you should remember.
Okay.
So we don't hear you say, "No one ever told me that."
So remember FAFSA.e.gov and remember the units. So I guess you kind of opened up a little possible question there. Is let's say you get your award letter, and I just do the 6 units. Is it prorated? Is the financial aid, is it based on the number of units?
The Pell Grant and Cal Grant are prorated. But
Okay.
the loans, no.
Okay. All right.
That's a simple answer for
That's
the loans.
okay. Yeah. And so the same with grad. There, unfortunately, no grants, so it's all loans.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that wraps up our seminar. We've tried to keep it kind of short because there's a lot of information we tried to cram in here. If you have any other questions about financial aid, feel free to call the financial aid office at 925-969-3385, or you can email them at financialaid@jfku.edu. The admissions office is also available to assist you with either applying or figuring out how to the application process versus the financial aid process, and you can call them at 800-696-5358 or email them at proginfo@jfku.edu. Before we sign off here, are there any last minute questions that we have from any of the participants? Feel free also to email me at csantini@jfku.edu afterwards if there are any questions that came up that we didn't cover. Absent any questions, Mindy, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
This was very helpful. And thank you everybody who joined us today for participating. Have a great afternoon.